Okay, well, like I said, thank you everybody for joining us at our very first Lunch and Learn. I'm hoping that we'll have, a whole bunch of questions today and people will learn lots about how our permit is structured. Um, I will introduce, oh, here, let me share my screen so you guys can see the very first slide here. Um, and so our speaker today is going to be Veronica Scott. And so she'll give us just a short 10, 15-minute presentation, and then we'll go into a question and answer session. So you can either type your questions into the chat or say that you have a question, and we'll call on you after the whole presentation is done. And you can either ask the question yourself or, yeah, like I said, you can type it into the chat. So without further ado, I'll pass it to you, Veronica.
Hello, everyone. As Dana said, my name is Veronica Scott, and I serve as the Rev 9A Permit Coordinator at Ecology. And today, like Dana said, we're going to talk a little bit about how the permit is structured. Next slide, please. We're going to start by talking about our baseball cards or our snapshots. This is a great overview of the Hanford site-wide permit and the unit groups that are encompassed in this permit. So right here you can see this is our Rev 9A snapshot that gives you just kind of an overview of what it looks like, but each operating unit or each unit group that is within the Hanford site-wide permit, all 52 of them will have their own baseball card that gives you a little bit of an idea of where the waste is from, what are some of the risks at this site, and a little bit of the history. What does this site do? Um, these are available at kind of the bottom of our Rev 9A website. So if you scroll down past the meeting information, you'll find them there. And it's a great way to get just an introduction to the sites if you're not already familiar with them. So once you have reviewed those, we can talk a little bit more about reading the actual permit. Next slide, please. So the permit it's a large document. So we wanted to kind of break it down a little bit more to help you understand how to actually read this, what kind of information is there, and how you, with your expertise, may want to dive in and look at the information that's available. So if we start, we have some general information. This includes things like our fact sheet, our transmittal letter, response to the comments from our 2012 Rev 9 submittal. And that information is right at the top. That's followed by the attachments sections and the part 1 and 2 general conditions. The attachments are kind of a extension of the general conditions, and those 3 sections all cover the entire Hanford facility. So everything that's covered under the permit, this is kind of that information that covers that whole general picture. Once we get that general picture, we move down into 3, 4, 5, and 6. And those are more specific information provided for our operating unit groups, our corrective action unit groups, our closure unit groups, and our post-closure unit groups. And so we'll find specific information about those in those 3, 4, 5, and 6 sections. And those are going to break down even further. So if we could go to the next slide. Once we get into the unit specific structures, we have all these different sections of the permit, the Part A form, waste analysis plan, all the way on through to post-closure. Now, not all addenda are going to be available, or not all addenda are used for every single unit. Some units may only have a closure plan, while others may have every single one of these. And that's going to depend on what type of unit it is, what it's used for, and what the kind of risks are with that particular unit. So just to kind of walk through a little bit of kind of some of the information you might encounter in these, the Part A form is another good introductory start where there's information about the facility, the kind of waste that's there, who is the manager of that facility. There's often pictures and maps that are accompanied in there to give you a little bit better idea of what we're looking at. You can look at the waste analysis plan and the process information for our operating unit groups to get information about how does it work, what are the structures in place for managing waste, ensuring that the waste is moving safely through the facility and that it's operating in a way that's protective of human health and the environment. Process information is another place where is the place where you'll find engineering drawings, engineering design drawings, engineering plans, if they're applicable to that unit. So another place for more information. Then we have things like groundwater monitoring plans, security, preparedness and prevention, training, our closure plans. Those are obviously going to be very important for our closure units, inspection plans, and our contingency plans. So that's kind of the structure of what you might see. If you go to the next slide, we're going to clarify a little bit of language here. So we have the words addenda show up, chapters, appendices, and attachments. And often to us, those sound very similar. They're all different ways to group information, but in our permit, addenda, it serves like a chapter in a book. So each of those A through K that we talked about on the last slide, those are our addenda generally. We do have a unit, the Waste Treatment Plant, WTP, which still refers to it as chapters in our Rev 9A, but it's still serving as the same as an addenda in this terminology. And so that is like a little bit of a thing. We tried very hard to make our language consistent throughout, but there are some legacy language that was maintained between our 8C Rev 9 and Rev 9A revisions. So we also have things like appendices, which provide additional information to support our addenda or our chapters. And then attachments are another type of additional information that is provided. And so to note, there are attachments listed, right, when in the slide before talking about our permit conditions and the attachments that support those. There are also attachments within our unit-specific structures. So an attachment to support our process information, for example. So there's two types of ways that the word attachment is used within the Rev 9A permit. And I also wanted to note that in addition to our addenda and chapters, appendices, and attachments, all of the units in this permit will have a unit control changelog, conditions, and their own unit-specific fact sheet, which is another great place to start to get an idea of what has changed in the permit, what that unit, what kind of waste that unit manages, and some basic information about that unit. So I think at this time we're going to go switch over to our permit site to give you kind of an idea of what all this structure looks like when you're going to the website to actually review those documents. So here we can see, like I mentioned, like our transmittal letter, we have our fact sheet, our response to comments, and we have a link to our SEPA determination. So those are general Hanford information that cover the whole Hanford site-wide permit. And then our attachments you see just below there. And some of those titles are going to sound familiar, like security, or those are chapters that we have in our operating unit groups, but there's also security that applies to the whole Hanford site. Then we drop down, we see the 1 and 2 unit-specific permit conditions there. And then if we can take a look at what a operating unit group looks like, can we click on the IDIF, the Integrated Disposal Facility. So this is one of our operating unit groups. And if we scroll down, we can see that they have all the addenda, A through K. We even see some appendices that are included here. And so This is all the stuff included. This is a currently operating unit group. It has exposure for groundwater, so it has a groundwater monitoring plan. We have waste acceptance and our process information because it is currently operating and taking in waste. So that's the full picture. Now we can go and check out if we drop down to a closure unit group, can we click on one of the, yeah, right down there is great. 325 would be integrated tank. A 325 high level vault tank closure unit group. So this is a closure unit. It just has, like I said, we have our unit specific permit conditions, our change control log, and our fact sheet at the top. And then the only addenda that is currently there is our closure plan. That will be the guidance documents to help make sure they're moving through their closure and closing it in a way that is protective of human health and the environment. So that's kind of like the range of what you would see. Some stuff has very little, others is going to be more extensive based on the needs of each individual site. So now that we've looked at kind of what's the structure, how do we navigate it, we have read it, we're ready to comment. How do we do that? We're going to talk about the public comment period is currently open and it will be open through October 27th. And you can find information again at the Hanford Sitewide permit landing page. If you are ready to submit your comments, you can go to the e-comments site and enter your comment in online. You can also email us directly at hanford@ecy.wa.gov. And you can provide oral testimony at the upcoming public hearings that will occur this fall. Or you can mail or hand deliver them to our office at Port of Benton Boulevard, attention Dana McFadden. So those are many ways to submit your comments. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us, and that is part of why we're here today, to provide a background to help you make informed comments. Next slide, Dina. So today we talked about how to read it, but again, our next week, we're going to talk about ponds, ditches, trenches, oh my, and we will continue to host these informational meetings for the next few weeks on Wednesdays during our lunch hour at noon. I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Veronica. Got stuff going on here. So do we have any questions? Let's see. So we have one question, but this is not directed at Veronica. In an earlier meeting in the Richland Library, Ecology indicated it would grant an extension for the public review period. Does the October 27th date include the extension?
I think I can provide some clarity on that. I believe in that meeting, Ecology indicated that they had received a request for an extension and that was currently being evaluated. But at this time, we have not granted an extension for the public comment review period. So at this time, we're still evaluating and we have not made a final decision on that. So our date is October 27th, and we have not had an extension at this time.
Thank you. Dan, did you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, thank you. I think last week there was a session and it mentioned something about 22 units under interim status. I wonder if you could go into more detail about the difference between interim status and the others.
Yes. Amy, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah. Okay, I will put my camera on. Hi, I am Amy Green. I am the former Rev 9 permit coordinator, and now I'm the project manager for the SSTs. So the 22 groups the unit groups that were interim status, those were established back in like 1989, and they've been waiting to get into the final permit since then. And so now we have brought them in, and now they are all going to be permitted. Did that answer
Okay,
your
so
question?
yeah, they're no longer in interim status. That was thank.
Right.
All righty. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So we have another question on here. The transmittable letter attachment has about 140 modifications not included in Rev 9A. How are these missing documents being addressed? Is there going to be a third comment period?
Amy, do you want to take this one as well?
Unless Eddie wanted to cover that one.
Yeah, so I can give some insight.
Okay.
So those that are already completed a public comment period, those modifications were made under Rev 8C. There will be a mechanism to incorporate them into Rev 9. But at this time, there is no third public comment period noted that we would do for those modifications. Again, those did have public comment periods associated with them, whether they were class twos or threes that were completed under Rev 8C, and those will be incorporated into Rev 9A at a later date.
Okay, thank you. We have another comment here or question here about the extension. I would encourage people to ask us. This lunch and learn is more geared towards the permit structure and how to find your way through the permit. So we're hoping for those questions, but this question that has come up is, when will Ecology complete its decision about whether it will grant the extension? As the clock is ticking, will Ecology add extra time due to its delay in making the decision?
So I don't know why we would make an extension on top of the requested extension because we haven't responded to it yet. Typically, we look for interest from multiple entities associated with an extension to a public comment period. At this time, we've received one request for an extension before the public comment period started. So we will respond to that extension request, but we will do so when time permits for us. Thank you.
So do we have other people that we have questions about how the permit is structured or things within the permit? Anything like that? Veronica, I think you did a good job at walking us through how the permit's put together. We have one more comment of note here, saying, as a member of the public, I request a permit extension of 200 days. Let's see. Well, if we don't have any other questions, please remember that you can certainly email us questions at hanford@ecy.wa.gov. We will be having these lunch and learns every week starting at noon on a variety of topics. You can find the topics on our page, on our webpage. Oh, wait, we've got one more question. tuning in late, but wondering if this is from Liz Matson. But wondering if you had to pick one section to read, what would you recommend?
That is a very good question, Liz. I think that I'm going to say if I'm only picking one, it would be the Part A form, which provides an overview of the facility and the types of wastes that it manages. But I would also recommend, if you're going to read more than one, look at the fact sheet because that will provide you an overview of the changes that were made and the facility. And that I think can help guide you into what may be most applicable to your knowledge base, right? So if we have people who have an engineering background, they may find that the process information is going to be the most informative for them. But if people have no background in engineering, that may be too dense for them to have a strong informed comment. But yeah, I would definitely start with the Part A as an overview or the fact sheet, and then that can help guide you to what may be most useful for you. I think we have another one there, Dina.
Yeah, then we have a continuation from Liz. What kinds of comments made the biggest impact during the 14-year revision process since the last site-wide permit comment period?
Okay. That is a really good question as well. I would start by saying the way you structure your comment can make a big difference in whether or not it has a impact on the text of the permit. All of the comments are weighed and evaluated. So it's not to say that by providing something outside of this structure, it's not going to have an impact. But if you provide a specific ask in your comment, so things like we saw lots of, can you add a permit condition about X, Y, and Z? That is something that is an easy yes or no, whereas people commenting that they have concerns about the safety doesn't give us a strong action that we can take to make a change in the permit. We always try to follow the law and we always try to make it as strong and protective of a permit as possible. But if there's not a specific ask, it's hard for us to respond to that with a specific change. Does that answer the question? I don't know if Amy might have anything to add on that one.
Liz said yes, that was great.
Thank you.
So do we have any more questions regarding the permit documents specific, as far as the structure goes, or how to find certain types of information? We have another one. How long do you estimate it will take before the permit is issued after this comment period wraps up?
I think that might be an Eddie question.
Yeah, so it's always to be determined, right? So depending on the types of comments we get, how many comments we get, it's going to take us some time to work through them. We'll certainly start working through them as they start coming in. But depending on the type of comments we get, there might be, an unknown amount of time associated with responding to those comments or making changes to the permit as necessary based off of those comments. So it depends.
Okay, do we have anybody else that has any questions regarding the structure of the permit documents within the permit, chapters, addendas, anything like that? How to find certain types of information within the permit? Oh, here we go. Do you work through, this is from MJ, I'm going to mess up that Rad, sorry. Do you work through the comments submitted chronologically, and will you respond in that order?
So internally, we have an internal process to work through the comments, making sure that each comment receives a response, that it's reviewed by our technical experts, by our project teams, if there needs to be a legal review. So there's a lot of steps internally through the process, and that may or may not occur chronologically depending on availability of staff. But we will, when the comment period is complete, we will respond to every comment that comes through and submit a response to comments document similar to what you can see as part of the Rev 9A renewal. And so that will come out with the final document, the final permit, Rev 9A permit. All at once. That's the answer.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
I'm trying to figure out what B. Conlon's comment is.
The statement is the transmittal letter attachment documents being missing failed to give the public a full view of the permit. The attached documents are inaccurate.
So what did we have in the attachments? We had everything, correct? I mean, we had all the information on what was changed. I'm not sure what would be missing. We did yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to ask if you could respond in the comments. Is this related to your question about the 140 modifications that are not included in Rev 9A?
Yeah, so I believe it's related to that. Again, what I'll say is that we did have public comment periods for all those modifications. Those were completed under class 2s and 3s. Those public comment periods have concluded and they have been incorporated into the Rev 8C permit. And at a later date, they will be transferred over to Rev 9. So I think that's what I think that's kind of the answer there. The only other question that I saw that came up that I don't think we answered was why does it matter that the request for extension was submitted before the start of the public comment period? It does not matter. Just stating the fact that it was received before the public comment period started, and we are evaluating that extension request. So thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions? It looks like that might be what we've got for today. So again, here, let me pull up my slides so you guys can see. If you've got, oops, I'm back. There we go. So our comment period will run through October 27th. You can always go to our Hanford Sitewide permit landing page to get more information. That's where the baseball cards are. That's where more information is. Also, all the links to submit comments. You can always send us questions or your comments through email. In the fall, we'll have public hearings in Portland, Seattle, Hermiston, Richland, and there's going to be a virtual one. All of those dates and places and times are listed on the Sitewide page. And you can also mail or hand deliver your comments to me at the Port of Benton address, which again is still on that page. So, did I see one more question come up? Oh, I do. Let's see, we've got one more. Oh, we have a thumbs up.
We got one more question that asked, will the draft permit remain on the web during the comment review? And the answer to that is yes, like Amy said. So if that's in reference to the Rev 9 draft, the 2012 draft, that will stay online. And our intention was to keep that available for people so they could compare the comment responses to the draft Rev 9 that they commented on. But that draft will go away after we're not accepting comments anymore.
And then Dan wanted to know how many people are in the room, and it looks like we had about a total of 40 attendees. Okay, so do we have any more questions? Oh, 41. Look at that. Somebody else snuck in. So do we have any more questions? Okay, if not, I thank everybody for showing up. Please, come to our other lunch and learns as topics come up that you're interested in. If you have any questions for us in the between now and then, please feel free to email us, and have a good day.